Welcome to the Inside Source Executive Video Series. My name is Dawn Tura. I'm President and CEO of Sourcing Industry Group. And I'm so pleased to have Viet Ho here today. Viet not only is a board member of SIG, but he is also the Managing Director and Chief Procurement Officer of Global Sourcing at Russell Investments. He has over 16 years of experience, and he sources and manages over $1 billion of spend with his team. His experience prior to being at Russell Investments includes time with major corporations such as JP Morgan Chase, Washington Mutual, Procurement, A.T. Kearney, Deloitte, and PwC. So you bring to us a wealth of experience. So I want to jump into something that you have really been getting a name for, and that's the fact that you do work in Vietnam, and you've outsourced to Vietnam, and we don't have a lot of companies that have. So can you share your experiences and what made you go there as a destination, and then talk about the cultural fit. How does it work with Russell Investments?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the opportunity. Vietnam has been kind of, as you know, from my name, I'm Vietnamese by birth, and I left Vietnam was about 10 years old, right? And so I can speak the language, and so I spent some time there over the last few years. And as the US company as well as global company kind of look at outsourcing, offshoring, I think India and China has been kind of a major destination, and that's been going on for the last kind of 20 years. And nowadays, I think the country like Vietnam, Philippines are getting a kind of better exposure now because of the challenges that company like myself and others is facing with like India and China, both from the rising costs as well as kind of high turnover, and then some of the service and kind of challenges. And so at Russell, we start looking at other places because of those issues we face with Indian kind of offshore companies. And Vietnam, for me, was kind of a very fascinating destination because it seemed to have all the right elements. Turnover there is low. I mean, we talk about single digits.
Really?
Compared with like what I faced in India was like 50-60% annually. And the cost, because Vietnam's kind of behind China and India from a development perspective, the cost difference between India and Vietnam is about 50%, right?
Oh my goodness.
So in some way, company like Russell, we were able to reset the clock like 10 years. So that gives us the chance to be able to figure out strategically, can we keep on offshoring, or do we come up with a better way of doing that? And interestingly enough, at Russell, after we kind of start outsourcing to Vietnam, which is successful, I got direction from the CEO to relook strategically at our offshore and outsourcing program. And that was a good opportunity because historically, at Russell, we started offshoring about 5 years ago, right? And we were pressured by some external investor to kind of move into offshoring. So it was more like a lift and shift situation. So now the CEO asked me to write a discussion document to relook at how do we approach that. And a couple of hypotheses that we're going to explore is that we might bring some of the work back into the US because it's the wrong kind of work for us to be offshore. And then in other area, we might have to do more kind of offshoring.
Oh, good. So that's going to be another presentation you're going to bring to us, the decision. I mean, that's a huge decision to either go offshore or to bring it back onshore.
Right.
So when you make that decision and you implement that, that'll make a great case study for SIG.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yes. The other area that you're really known for, though, is stakeholder alignment. You've been able to align your organization with the rest of the stakeholders. Can you talk a little bit about that procedure and maybe give some tips and cues to other folks on how to make it work?
Yeah. So I had a unique opportunity at Russell because I joined Russell about 5 years ago. When I first got to Russell, it was very a non-value added function. The group that I had was basically called contract consultants. And so what they do is that when the business made all the decision, they come to us to draft the contract, which is not too uncommon with kind of in our industry. And so I had a short amount of time to kind of transform the organization. I knew that for me to be able to do that with my stakeholder and kind of get where I need to be, I need to really rebrand it to my organization. So I mean, for me, the focus was around kind of 3 key areas. One's going to be around, I need to build my team, right? There's no point for me to kind of get in stakeholder management if we don't have good team, strong team to be deliver on the vision. So second thing is about kind of developing value-added services. And so something that kind of business value. I think in procurement, we tend to see like ourselves as kind of an RFP factory, right? And in some cases, a lot of times it's not what the business wants. So my second objective is to come up with services by talking to our executive to services that they're going to value, right? I think the third piece is that how to start to engage and market the service. And I think early in some of the presentation we shared at SIG, where we launched a project that we call it Project Hollywood, where we went out and we identified 100 top kind of decision makers or key stakeholders within the business. And then my team kind of get assignment of kind of a handful of these stakeholders for each team member. And we went out there and we proactively have conversation with the business on
Top 100.
Top 100.
That's amazing.
Yeah, in terms of what we do, what we could be doing, and how can we help them going forward. And so that's really kind of launched kind of us in the right position. And I think we grew from strength to strength since then.
And your team is very well known now and marketed well within Russell, and people talk about your team. So do you credit it with just great hires, or is it really great leadership, or is it Russell's culture? What would you credit all that with?
I think it's all of the above. I think what I have is that we went through and we grew very fast, but I was able to upgrade the talent as well. We put in a lot of good training, and I think participation in SIG has been really helpful with the team to be able to benchmark them against kind of the industry and learn from the industry as well. But also good support from kind of senior leadership team as well.
So you've got the respect of the senior team,
Yes.
and therefore the support for the initiatives.
Yes.
That's great. So Viet, I know we're out of time right now, but I want to thank you for joining us. And I'm so glad that you're a board member of SIG, and you're always such a healthy contributor to all things SIG. So I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
That's the end of today's Inside Source Executive Video Series, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us.